Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, why did I say that? Or maybe you've met someone who wasn't the funniest, richest, or loudest person in the room, yet everyone naturally respected them. Here's the truth. Winning a conversation has nothing to do with talking more. In fact, the people who leave the strongest impression often speak the least. They know how to speak, when to speak, and most importantly, how to make other people feel. Today, I'll show you 5 conversation skills backed by psychology that can instantly make people enjoy talking to you, respect your opinions, and remember you long after the conversation ends. And make sure you stay until the last skill, because it's the one that separates average communicators from people everyone wants to be around. Let's get started. Skill 1. Listen like you're looking for a secret. Most people think a conversation is about giving great answers. It's not. It's about asking yourself one simple question. What is this person really trying to tell me? Here's what usually happens. While someone else is talking, most people aren't actually listening. They're waiting for their turn to speak, waiting to tell their own story, waiting to prove a point. And because they're so busy thinking about themselves, they miss everything that actually matters. Imagine your friend says, "I've been working so hard lately." Most people immediately respond with, "Yeah, me too. My week has been crazy." See what happened? The conversation instantly became about them. Now imagine a different response. "Really? What's been taking up most of your time?" That one question changes everything. Now the other person feels heard, and something interesting happens. People naturally enjoy talking to someone who makes them feel understood. Psychologists call this active listening. It's not just hearing words, it's paying attention to emotions, to tone, to pauses. Sometimes people don't want advice. They don't want solutions. They simply want someone who genuinely listens. And here's the surprising part. The better listener usually appears smarter, not because they know more, but because they make everyone else feel important. The next time you're talking to someone, try this. Instead of planning your next sentence, focus completely on theirs. You'll be amazed how much people reveal when they realize someone is actually listening. Skill 2. Stop trying to impress people. This might sound strange. The fastest way to impress people is to stop trying so hard. Think about someone who's constantly talking about their achievements, their money, their success, their expensive phone, their perfect life. At first, it might seem impressive, but after a few minutes, it starts to feel like they're asking for approval instead of earning respect. Now think about the opposite. Someone who's confident enough to let their actions speak for themselves. They don't interrupt people. They don't constantly try to prove they're right. They don't turn every conversation back to themselves. Ironically, these are often the people everyone respects the most. Real confidence doesn't need an announcement. It quietly shows itself. Here's a simple challenge. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to tell a story just because you have one. Instead, ask another question. Let the other person finish. Stay curious. You'll notice something interesting. People will start sharing things they normally wouldn't. Why? Because most people rarely get the chance to speak without being interrupted. And when someone gives them that opportunity, they remember it. Here's something you can use immediately. The next time someone tells you about an achievement, don't try to top it with your own. Celebrate their success first. Say something like, "That's impressive. How did you manage to do that?" Now you've done 2 things. You've made them feel appreciated, and you've kept the conversation moving naturally. That's exactly what great communicators do. They don't compete for attention. They create space for others to shine. And strangely enough, that's what makes them stand out the most. Skill 3. Ask questions that people actually want to answer. Have you ever noticed that some conversations die after just a few minutes? It usually isn't because the 2 people have nothing in common. It's because they're asking questions that lead nowhere. Think about it. How are you? Fine. How was your day? Good. And just like that, the conversation is over. If you want better conversations, stop asking questions that can be answered with one word. Instead, ask questions that invite a story. For example, instead of asking, "Did you enjoy your trip?" try asking, "What was the best part of your trip?" Now, the other person has something interesting to talk about. Or instead of asking, "Do you like football?" ask, "What made you become a football fan?" See the difference? One question ends the conversation. The other one starts it. People love talking about experiences. They love sharing memories. And when you ask questions that bring those memories back, conversations become natural instead of forced. Here's another trick. When someone gives you an answer, don't immediately change the topic. Pick one small detail and ask about it. Imagine someone says, "I started going to the gym last month." Most people would respond, "Nice," and then they move on. But a better response would be, "What made you decide to start?" Or, "What's been the hardest part so far?" Suddenly, the conversation becomes deeper. You didn't need a clever joke. You didn't need a perfect story. You simply showed genuine curiosity. And here's something most people never realize. Interesting people aren't always the best talkers. They're often the best question askers. Because good questions make other people feel interesting. And when people feel interesting around you, they naturally enjoy your company. Skill 4. Learn to be comfortable with silence. Most people are afraid of silence. The moment a conversation becomes quiet, they panic. They start talking just to fill the empty space. Sometimes they even say things they didn't mean to say. Confident people do the opposite. They're comfortable with silence. Imagine you're talking to someone and they finish speaking. Instead of rushing to answer, wait for just 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds feel much longer than they actually are. But something surprising often happens. The other person keeps talking. They explain their thoughts more clearly. They add details. Sometimes they even answer questions you were about to ask. Silence isn't awkward. People's fear of silence is what makes it awkward. Another place where silence becomes powerful is during disagreements. Imagine someone says something you completely disagree with. Most people react immediately. They interrupt. They defend themselves. They argue. But calm communicators pause first. They take a breath. They think. Then they respond. That small pause changes everything. It shows confidence. It shows emotional control. And it prevents conversations from turning into arguments. Here's a challenge you can try today. The next time you're speaking with someone, don't rush to fill every quiet moment. Let the conversation breathe. You'll notice people become more relaxed around you because they don't feel pressured to keep talking every single second. One of the easiest ways to look confident isn't by saying more. It's by proving you're comfortable saying less. And the final skill brings everything together. It's the habit that makes people trust your words, respect your opinions, and remember you long after the conversation is over. Skill 5. Make people feel important. Out of all 5 skills, this one has the biggest impact. People may forget what you said. They may even forget the story you told. But they'll almost never forget how you made them feel. Think about the people you enjoy talking to the most. Chances are, they don't always have the funniest jokes or the smartest opinions. They simply make you feel respected. They don't check their phone while you're talking. They don't interrupt your sentences. They remember small details about your life. And when you're speaking, they give you their full attention. That kind of attention is rare today. We're living in a world where everyone wants to be heard, but very few people want to listen. So when someone finally feels truly heard, they remember it. Here's a simple example. Imagine your friend tells you they're preparing for an important exam. A week later, instead of asking, "What's up?" ask, "Hey, how did your exam go?" It's a small question. It takes only a few seconds, but it tells the other person something powerful. I remembered something that mattered to you. That's how trust is built, not through big speeches, through small moments of genuine attention. Another habit you can develop is using people's names naturally in conversation. Don't overdo it, because it can sound fake. But when used occasionally, hearing your own name makes a conversation feel more personal. It tells the other person, "I'm talking to you, not just anyone." And here's one more thing. When someone is excited about something, don't act like it's no big deal. Match their energy. If they got a new job, celebrate with them. If they achieved a goal, acknowledge the effort behind it. People remember those reactions because in that moment, you made them feel that their success mattered. And that's something everyone wants. Conclusion. Let's quickly go over the 5 conversation skills we've learned today. First, listen to understand, not just to reply. Second, Stop trying to impress people and let your confidence show naturally. Third, ask better questions that invite stories instead of one-word answers. Fourth, don't fear silence. Sometimes the strongest response is taking a moment before you speak. And finally, make people feel important by giving them your attention and remembering what matters to them. Here's something to remember. Great communicators aren't born with a special talent. They practice small habits consistently. Every conversation is a chance to improve. You don't need to become the loudest person in the room. You don't need to have the perfect joke. You don't need to win every argument. You simply need to make people feel respected. When people feel respected, they naturally respect you back. So here's a challenge for you. The next time you have a conversation today, don't try to use all 5 skills at once. Pick just one. Maybe listen a little more. Maybe ask one better question. Maybe stay quiet for 2 extra seconds before replying. Small improvements, repeated every day, lead to big changes over time. And before you know it, people will start looking forward to talking with you. If you enjoyed this video and learned something useful, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next psychology and self-improvement video. Now, I have a question for you. Which of these 5 conversation skills do you think is the hardest to master? Let me know in the comments. I read as many of them as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.